Today I'm going to talk about the slope-intercept form. What is the slope-intercept form? It is basically an equation in the form of y equals mx plus b. And the slope would be m, and your b is your y-intercept. Now recall the slope m is our rise over the run in the graph. The rise being how many units you went up or down, and the run being how many units you went left or right. So let's get an example. Let's say we had an equation that was y equals 2x plus 3. Now our y-intercept, which is where our graph cuts the y-axis, would be at 3. This will be our first point. Then the next thing we want to do is look at our slope. It's a positive 2, so we're going to go up 2, so 1, 2 to 5, and over 1. So let's say somewhere there. So then our graph will go through both points and look like that. And that's how we derive our graph from an equation in the slope-intercept form. Okay, so let's try a fairly straightforward question. Write the equation of a line in the slope-intercept form given the slope is -3 and the y-intercept is y equals 5. Sketch the graph. So we want to start off with our generic y equals mx plus b. So my y equals, now my m is the slope, and the slope here is -3. So I'm going to change my m to -3. X plus our b is now 5. This is my slope-intercept form. To sketch the graph, we first want to look at what our y-intercept is. In this case, it is 5. So it cuts my y-axis at 5. Put a little dot there. And then we're going to look at the slope, which is -3. So what that says is it's going down 3. So 1, 2, 3. So that's 5, 4, 3. That's 2. And we're going over 1. So that's down 3 over 1 to give you that negative. And then we can plot that line as so. And that's our sketch of our line y equals -3x plus 5. This next question is very similar, but phrased a little bit differently. It's a little bit less obvious because even though they gave you the slope which is equal to 4, they're saying it passes through 0, 7. It didn't directly tell you what the y-intercept is. But if you look at the coordinate 0, 7, you'll see that this is actually our y-intercept. So we can still write it as y equals mx plus b. In this case, our y equals, now our slope is 4. So our m now became 4x. And this is our y-intercept. That's the y-coordinate because it didn't move any spots over our x-axis. So it just went up 7 units. So our b is actually 7. Let's sketch the graph. So here our y-intercept is 7. So I'm going to put 7. And our slope is 4. So we're going to go up 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That gives me 8, 9, 10, 11 over 1. So it passes through that point and that point. And I can draw a line right through there. I just make little arrows to show that it goes on infinitely. And that would be our sketch of y equals 4x plus 7. Now if the question had been a negative slope, let's say a -4 instead, okay, -4, then my slope would have been y equals -4x plus 7. Now my y-intercept will still have been at 7, but because it's a -4, we're going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4. So 6, 5, 4. We're going to stop at 3 and go over 1. And that would be our y-intercept there. And your graph would have looked something like that. Okay, let's try something a little less obvious and straightforward. So find the slope-intercept of this line with the slope y equals -2 and passes through the point 1, 5. Now they didn't give us the y-intercept this time, but they just gave us a point on the line. So we always start with our generic y equals mx plus b. Okay, always start with this general form. Then that way you can see it on paper, and then we can figure out what we need to plug into your general equation to solve the problem. Y equals, now our slope is -2, so my m is -2 x plus b. Now we don't know what b is, but we're given this point 1, 5. Now my 1 is, that's my x, and now my 5 is my y. So I'm going to change my y to 5 equals -2, and my x now became 1 from here. I can do this because this is my general equation and it's going through this point 1, 5. And I have my plus b, the y-intercept that we're trying to find. Simplify. 5 equals -2 times 1 gives me -2 plus b. A plus 2 on both sides. My b equals 7. Therefore, I can say that my y equals -2 x plus, what's my b? My b we found is 7. And this is the equation of the line. So how do we plot that? Again, we look at our y-intercept. In this case, it is 7. And then we're going to look at our slope. It's a -2, so we're going to go down 2. So 1, 2, that goes down to 5 over 1. And we just join the 2 points to get my sketch of the graph. Let's try another problem, very, very similar to one before. And again, you want it in the slope-intercept form, so we will once again write it in the form y equals mx plus b. Our slope equals 4, so I can say that y equals 4x plus b. Now we don't know what our b is, but we have that point that it passes through. Again, this is my x, and that is my y. So my y is 1. I'm going to change my y to 1. And that equals 4 times my x is actually now -5 at that point, plus b. I still don't know what my b is yet. 24 times -5 gives me -20 plus b. I want to get rid of my -20, so I'm going to plus 20 on both sides. And I can conclude that my b equals 1 plus 20, which is 21. So my y equals 4x plus 21. And that's my equation of the line. Okay, to sketch my graph, I'm going to look at my y-intercept, which is 21. The point goes through there. And we're going to go up 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 22, 23, 24, 25 over 1. And when we join the 2 points, the line should look something like that. Now, what if we're not given the slope outright or the y-intercept in the question? Instead, we're told that the line passes through 2 specific coordinates. So we need to actually now find our slope and our y-intercept. Remember, slope is rise over run. And we can say that m is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x. If you need a refresher, I have a video on finding slopes, links down below. So let's find our slope. M is, let's label this x1, y1, x2, y2. So my y2 is -5 minus y1, which is 4, over x2, which is -1, minus x1, which is 0. Simplify. -5 minus 4 is -9 over -1, which gives me a positive 9. I'm going to move that over here. So we have our, remember, we have our form of y equals mx plus b. But we also found that our m is 9 from here, x plus b. We still don't have our b, our y-intercept. So I'm going to use one of these points. We can use my 0, 4 or -1, -5. I'm going to use 0, 4 because the numbers are easier to work with. We have x is 0 and y is 4. So my y is 4 equals 9. Now my x is 0 plus b. So I'm left with 4 equals b. And I can plug it back into my equation here. Okay, so y equals 9x plus 4. This is the equation of my line. How do we plot or sketch this graph? My y-intercept is 4, and we're going to go up 9 units, so 1, 9. So 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. That's where it ends. And we're going to go over 1. So these are my 2 points. If I draw a line that passes these through points, there is the sketch of my graph. So these questions where you are only given 2 coordinates that the line passes through are more involved than the previous example. So again, we always start with our y equals mx plus b. Okay? So let's find out m. m equal y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. I'm going to label this x1, y1, x2, y2. So I'm going to substitute that. So my y2 is negative 8 minus y1, which is a negative 4, over x2, which is negative 1, minus x1, which is negative 2. Double negative, so I have negative 8 plus 4 over negative 1 plus 2, which gives me negative 4 over 1, which gives me negative 4. So my y equals negative 4x plus b. Okay. Now we still need to find out b, so we're going to use one of our given coordinates. We can use either one. The numbers are not great, so I'm just going to take the first set, which is x and y. So my y is negative 4 equals, my slope is negative 4, and my x is negative 2 plus b, which is what we're trying to find. Simplify that. It's negative 4. Negative 4 times 2 is 8 plus b. Minus 8 on both sides. Our b equals negative 12. Because negative 8 minus 4 is negative 12. So my y equals, I'm going to plug that back into here. So my y equals negative 4x minus 12. And that's my equation of that line. And I'm going to move everything over a little bit so I have a little more room. I'm going to draw my axis a little bit different this time because, as you can see, my y-intercept is now at negative 12. So I'm going to put it at negative 12. And that's my y-intercept. And I'm going to go down 4 because it's a negative 4. So negative 12, 13, 14, 15, negative 16 is there. And over 1. Now remember, this is a negative, so it's a downward slope. And that corresponds with our sketch to give me a line that looks like that. If you like this video, please be sure to like and subscribe to my channel. If you have any questions or like to see a particular topic, please leave comments down below. I also offer online tutoring and notes and lessons worksheets for sale. If you'd like to support my work, I have a Patreon account. All links down below. Thank you for watching, and I hope you found this lesson helpful.